is all resilient persons. Diba? Rich with experience, which the pandemic season has taught us. So masasabi natin to sa mga anak natin, mga apo natin na yan, nandiyan kami. Tuturo kami kahit sa pandemic season. Mag-guide kami ng mga
kung nasa drive na, sir, drive. Kung file, kung wala pa sa drive, pwedeng file din. Opo,
so
sa file na lang po, sir.
Of the session with experience? Okay, next slide, please. The objective of the session. At the end of the session, the participants are expected to describe how financially challenged students achieve academic success. Alam nyo, i-discuss ko yung aking research of how financially challenged students, yung ibig sabihin nun, yung mga mahihirap na estudyante ay nagkaroon ng academic success. Paano sila naging top sa klase? Okay? This is to give hope to some students, parents, and teachers who are currently battling it out this pandemic. Alam nyo, hindi madali ang pinagdaan ng mga estudyante kasama sa research na ito. Sana ay maging inspirasyon ng marami ang pagsusumikap nilang makaahon sa hirap. Number 2, analyze the other challenges of the students during the pandemic season. Having described the struggles of financially challenged students, this webinar shall illustrate some issues that students face this pandemic season. So, hindi lang yon, given na nga yun, no? We envision that this pandemic season is extra challenging, especially for students who have financial challenges. Okay? Imagine niyo yung pinaka-challenge ng mga students at nag-add pa ang pandemic season. Okay? So number 3 is to synthesize ways on how to achieve academic success despite the pandemic. How can we use this season as an opportunity to sharpen our skills in training and mentoring students? Okay? So, next slide, please. Okay, so activity 1. Ganito gawin natin, ha? What challenges did you experience when you were still a student? Sige nga, pakilagay sa ating chat. Pakilagay doon, ano ang mga challenges ninyo? Kayo ba ay nagkukulang sa pera? Kukulang ba kayo sa baon? Hindi ba kayo nakakakain ng sapat? O minsan nahihirapan kayo sa academics? You may put in the chat box. Okay? I will give you 15 seconds. Terror, professor, talaga? Financial problems. Okay? Ano pa? Financial pa? Okay? Ang daming financial, ano? I'm looking at the chat box at marami talagang financial. Yes, financial din. Walking from home to school back and forth. Kasi bakit? Siyempre, wala rin tayong pera. Kaya ganun. Okay, financial. Okay, so I think the bulk of our problems were financial, no? Financial problems. Okay, so additional extra, walang baon, family problem. Yes, you will see that. You will see a lot of them in the experiences of our students. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay. Before, may kwento ako sa inyo. Okay? One time, student, at itago natin siya sa pangalan Joey, came to see me as I was a counselor at the university in which he was studying. Alam nyo, yung students dropping out was helpful to me because one of my tasks as a counselor was to interview and counsel students who filed for an LOA, leave of absence. Okay? Ngayon, itong si Joey na to, he had to file for a leave of absence. Why? Because both of his parents lost their jobs. he was overwhelmed also by the thoughts of having enough studies for its own. So anong ginawa? Siyempre, I'm a guidance counselor. So I counsel him. Meron namang counseling tools, no? And then after that, I referred him to our scholarship program. Tapos, when I was thinking about it, parang may kulang. Parang may kulang pa. So techniques in counseling and scholarship are not enough for that situation of Joey. Kaya ang ginawa ko, taking the matter further, I went over some records of students. Kasi curious ako eh. Nakikita ko may mga estudyante yung hirap na hirap, pero nakaka-survive sila. Some of them in the records indicated the low income of their families. Some even indicated figures below the poverty level. That was 2000. That was 2014, 15. Yeah, 2014. And I I realized meron pa rin household income na 3,000 during the time. So, ang parating ko na sa tinatanong, how were these other students able to survive? I now became very curious about how these students managed to get to the top with poverty hounding them. How did they do it? I also contrasted them with some students whom I knew have decided to drop. What made the students cry? Meron ba silang sikreto? Are you curious also? Do you want to know their secrets? Okay, so next slide.
Isa lang, isa lang. Gusto mo lagyan ko na lang ng ice?
Wanting to get an answer regarding how financially challenged students are able to surpass their situation, I pursued a research about it. So ang research ko ay entitled Developing a Process Model of Academic Success for Financially Challenged Students. So aside from me, my co-authors were Dr. Ines and Dr. Reyes. So, how do financially challenged students academic success? Paano nakakatapos nagkakaroon ng mataas na grade kahit na ang tao ay kulang sa pinansyal? Alam nyo right now, the incidence of poverty in the Philippines is still high at 12.1% to the 1918 incidence of poverty. Mas lalo na sa bata. Poverty statistics among children was 23.9. And that is the biggest poverty statistic. Okay, so next slide. What are the characteristics that made it to the top despite financial difficulties? Since this is also a study about academic success, I chose 30 participants in third year level with general point average of 88% and above. Alam nyo, sa PNU talagang mataas na yan, no? And then they also have no grade lower than 8% and no incomplete or failing grade. This is important since I feel that they have developed skills in handling academic challenges by this criteria. So yung participants natin, mahirap na mga estudyante but matataas ang grade. We are ready to unlock their secrets. Okay. So next slide, please. Okay. The latest monthly income in 2011 for a family of 5 in 2014 pala was below 7,821. So dati, I made this mga 2013, 2014. The poverty level was 7,821. Okay? So ano yon? I found out that 46.67%, the majority of the 30 students belonging to households with income level of below 7,821, and then 50, they are the participants. So mas marami yung they belong to the household income of below 7,821. Okay. So yung susunod na income level naman nun, ay 53.33%. And they barely made it above the poverty level. Tapos yung pinakamataas na income level ng ating participants ay 16,000, no, highest income family level. At sabi ko nga dati, I even saw 3,000 and 2,000 as estimated family income. Okay. So another thing, 83.33% finished elementary grade level in public school. The Department of Education in 2013 reported that 91.48% were enrolled in public elementary schools. So there is a support regarding the results of the study. Another is 80% of the students finished high school in public schools. DepEd data shows that 80.19% of students were enrolled in public high school. So kinocorroborate ng DepEd data yung data ng mga estudyante. You know, on hindsight, notwithstanding the challenges in our educational system, did you know that I felt proud as a public school teacher when I saw this data? The PSA, no, yung Statistics Authority, estimated that we have 2.2 million OFWs last 2019. Our products, the students, are very much sought after as workers all over the world. Filipinos are preferred in a lot of areas: in teaching, in healthcare, in seafaring, in hotel and restaurants, and in a lot more areas. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? This shows that our efforts as public school teachers may not have been in vain after all. So, bow tayong lahat yan, di ba? Claim na natin. We are also successful, notwithstanding the difficulties. Okay. Ano pa? I found out that 80% of the students had academic and non-academic awards during graduation in elementary. So, ang taas, ano? 56.67 had academic awards. And then 23.33% had non-academic awards. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? It showed that they were performers kahit na nung elementary level sila. Okay? So, during their high school days, 53% had academic and non-academic awards upon graduation in high school. Okay? So, this indicated that the majority still managed to get awards in high school. And upon reaching in college, the majority, 66.7%, had scholarships. And these scholarships were usually from the OSE, the university, and some private donors. Okay? So next slide, please. So ano ba yung mga challenges ng ating mga participants? Okay? So as you guess it, it's poverty. Okay? So ano mga experience nila sa poverty? They experience poverty at home and in school. 11 students said they had no regular allowance and funds for school expenses. It also meant dealing with hunger and skipping meals in school and not having transportation money. Kanina, di ba, merong nag-share o lumalakad. Pareho rin ng mga estudyante natin, ano? Participant A said, very hard to think of on an empty stomach. I served. Naging utusan po ako in order to have food and school needs. I experienced God's love in the form of physical nourishment in the person of my employers. You see their attitude. Kahit na ganon, they do not take it against anybody, okay? But they appreciate whatever makes them continue their studies. Another participant told of having no connection of electricity and water and only dependent on sub-meters from neighbors. Poverty was also felt in the specific conditions of lack of food, adequate shelter, material requirements in school, and to a lesser degree in the community in terms of lack of basic services. Minsan wala silang tubig, so sila ay pumipila para kumuha pa rin ng tubig. So the students had strategies in order to surmount this. Okay. So another one is, another of their challenges is paid and service work, co-curricular activities, na may nagsabi kanina, merong naglagay sa ating chat group, and scholarship duties overlapping with academics. Paid work refers to tasks which participants had to perform in order to earn money or obtain materials needed in school. So a lot of these students were working students. Service work refers to tasks for benefactors kasi may scholarship sila, no? In lieu of scholarship. And what were these benefits? Board and lodging, gadgets, and other materials they needed. Pero sabi nga nila, meron silang gagawing service for that. Co-curricular are activities undertaken as a result of becoming a member of a formal organization such as a class, department, or interest club. So hindi lang sila active sa mga pagtatrabaho o sa co-curricular or sa scholarship duties, but we're also very active in co-curricular activities. Scholarship duties are activities undertaken to maintain the scholarship aside from academic grades. So yung mga eskwelalang yan, meron pa rin silang responsibility sa school because they are scholars. Okay. Participant C, no? I would like to tell you the account of participant C. Sabi niya, ma'am, every year, parang parati kong iniisip, mag-give up na ba ako? Well, sabi niya, I handle 3 jobs. Yung isa, student assistant. Yung isa, domestic worker in my employer. Tapos yung third, salesperson in my direct selling business. I sacrifice sleep. I sometimes sleep at 3 a.m., then get up at 5 a.m. to be at school at 7 a.m. But you know, the best thing is these ones have graduated already, and a lot of them are already in very good schools, and a lot of them have also scholarships. What is the upside of this? You know, employers prefer applicants who had previous works and could juggle schedules. So, hindi naman talaga nawala yung kanilang pagsusumikap. Another thing that they experienced was parental separation. Walang perfect separation of their parents. They separation of their parents. However, instead of rebelling or losing interest in their studies and focusing on their family problems, they still chose to go to school. Hindi sila nagrebelde o hindi sila nainggit sa iba, pero nag-focus sila dun sa gusto nilang mangyari. Okay? They were propelled by their beliefs that having good grades and a degree are their passports for a better life. So to quote one student, you know, ma'am, hindi ko kilala ang father ko. I did not even get a chance to meet my father. However, my mom and my older sister are there. They are more than enough. Okay, so very positive, ano? Isa pa, I was very close to my father, who placed importance on my studies. I will strive to achieve even if he's separated from my mother. I wanted him to be proud of me. Okay, another student. Minsan, ma'am, naiinggit ako sa kumpleto ang pamilya. Ngayon, kami lang ng nanay ko. Masaya na. Paano pa kaya kung nandiyan ang tatay ko? Siguro mas masaya. Okay? So, they have positive outlooks in life. Okay? So, next slide, please. So can you think of what were the causes of your academic success? Can you indicate it in our chat box? Sige nga, bigyan ko kayo ng 15 seconds ulit. What were the causes of your academic success? Ano nangyari sa ba't kayo nakatapos? Bakit kayo nagpursige? Lalo na yung may mga academic self-motivation. Okay. Parental support, yes. Okay. Ano pa? May mom support. Ano pa? Okay, so sabihin natin, marami, no? Dream of a better life and trust in God. Okay, for the family, yes, we are never selfish. Mother always reminds me of obtaining a job, self-support. Okay, so I'm glad that you can relate, no, kung ano yung pinagdadaanan ng mga estudyante kasama dito. Okay, now, what were the causes of their academic success? Tingnan nga natin, next slide please. Okay, faith in God. What were the causes of their academic success? So, yan, number 1. Okay, so number 1 is the encouragement of significant persons. Parents, teachers, relatives. So, yung maraming naglagay dito, encouragement from my mom, encouragement from parents, encouragement from important persons in your lives. So, alam nyo ba, yan sa number 1 na yan, 19 or 63.33% attributed it to encouragement from significant persons. Who are these persons? First of all, they are unang-una, no? High on the list is parents. Next, syempre, take about, tayo yun, teachers. Diba? Tayo kasi yung itong mga honor students, itong mga top students na to, they really respected teachers. And third, other family members. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng encouragement of significant persons? Number 1, being scaffolded by parents and other family members before formal schooling. Alam nyo, they were taught basic reading, writing, and the alphabet. During formal schooling, their parents continued their tasks, guiding them in the academic studies and in monitoring their grades. So, hindi lang umasa si parents sa teachers, no? Talagang siya ay very active kahit na hindi sila nag-aral, kahit na elementary. So to quote one student, my mother taught me how to read and write. My handwriting was very good because she made me kneel on salt if it was not good. No? Ang hirap nun, pinadapa siya pinaluhod siya sa asin. Ang sakit kaya nun. My oldest brother was made to kneel on Mongo. Naku, sakit din yun. I think I would not have awards if it not for the mother. At hanggang ngayon, napakaganda ng kanyang sulat. Okay, so ano pang sabi? My father and mother taught me when I was young. So they were like my first teachers. Okay. So parents also provided financial support. The students realized the sacrifice their parents went through. A participant narrated about a father who would not go home daily in order to give his transportation fare to his child. A mother working as a domestic helper. A mother likewise forfeiting taking a tricycle ride in order to give her child allowance. The students saw and appreciated the hardships their parents went through just to send them off to college. So talagang nakita nila yun. Okay, so aside from parents, teachers were also their sources of support. Paano natin sinuportahan itong mga estudyante ito? Teacher provided encouragement. Lalo na kapag natatalo sila sa competition, hindi nila nakukuha yung mga grades na gusto nila, ganyan, mentoring, and sometimes financial support when they were in dire need. Alam nyo, merong isa pang estudyante, sabi sa akin, ma'am, yung teacher ko po ang bumili ng aking sapatos para sa isang competition. And you know, that happened in elementary level, and she hasn't forgotten it, no? Plus the name of her teacher. Hence, they looked up to teachers to nurture them aside from their parents. Next, number 2, arriving at realizations. All 30 students reported that they had important realizations. Ano ang na-realize nila? Ano ang parang napagtanto nila? Most of the students' parents reached only elementary and high school levels. Their parents told them that low educational attainment was responsible for their poverty. You know, while I was interviewing one student, he was excited, and he told me, "Ma'am, alam mo, sa amin, sa kahit na po sa family ng mother ko, ng father ko, hindi po nakagraduate. Ngayon po, excited po ako makagraduate kasi ako po yung unang gagraduate sa family natin." Okay? Hindi ba napakaganda nun? Okay. So, another quotation graduates. But you know, the eyes that and will now do something in order to give their parents a better life. They did not love passively, but loved actively by obeying their parents, dreaming of a better life. Gusto ko umangat kami, makapagtapos mga kapatid ko, at makakain kami ng maayos araw-araw. Okay. Isa pang na-realize nila, no? Kasi these are all about realizations. I just thought I cannot depend on anybody but myself to improve my family's life. I am now trying to graduate as cum laude. Okay, so kinlaim na niya, no? I-claim na niya. I-claim na rin. Okay. So, the third cause of academic success is reciprocating the efforts of significant persons. So, parang ito yung bang utang na loob, ano? Pagbabayad natin ng utang na loob. The results show that there was a strong need for the students to return the sacrifices of their parents by studying well and making plans to uplift their families. I did not want my siblings to experience the difficulties which we experience. I will study very well so that I can make them rise from poverty. So hindi lang sila nag-aaral para sa sarili nila. Kung hindi, nag-aaral din sila para sa families nila. Okay. So the fourth one is formulation of their own goals. So yung mga estudyante na kasali dito sa research na to, nag-formulate sila ng own goals which regards to academics, co-curricular, and scholarships. So halimbawa, academics, talagang minsan pinrim sections, gusto nila yon. Ano pa, nung ma-realize din nung isa na kailangan pala na sa honor ay meron pang co-curricular, so she also pushed herself in co-curricular. So dito, nakikita natin yung mga top students, they have goals. So they do not usually focus on non-goals. Okay? So, next slide please. So what challenges do students face this pandemic season? So natapos na tayo dun sa challenges ng mga regular students, and a lot of them have financial students. Ngayon naman, ano ba ang challenges? Okay, next slide please. So what is COVID-19? Dumating na si COVID-19. COVID-19, as of July 11, it already had 15,683 deaths. And it is the world's most serious episode since the 1918 Spanish flu. Yun ay 100,000 deaths lang. Okay? It has become a pandemic kasi madali na tayo mag-travel eh. Our economies and lives are already joined with people from other continents. Before, infections were localized because of the distance barrier. Ngayon, hindi na. Okay? So it's also the most devastating event in the past 100 years. And right now, still don't know how to deal with it. Ang sabi nila, yung Spanish flu ay lasted 2 years. Okay? So we are optimistic that maybe for this year, we might have the vaccine already. So let's pray for that. And also, it is a dual public health and economic crisis. Before, we just thought it was a health concern, but now it has a great impact on our economy. What do you think is the reason? We do not want to get sick. So in the absence of a vaccine, we stay home. Life is more important than anything. However, we cannot produce life-saving goods like food, so the problem becomes cyclical. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, what are the challenges of the students? According to the research, students could have these experiences or challenges during the pandemic season. Number one, ito, fear of having COVID-19 and of loved ones getting infected. Media has depicted the hardship of suffering in the face of having a COVID-19 infection. And if we add to that the possible expenses, which could run to hundreds of thousands and even millions, and then, the students are really very much worried. And also, they are worried that even if it's okay for them, they might pass it on to their significant family members. So another thing is, look, my parents lost their jobs. They are always fighting. So parents fighting due to problems like job loss. The results are anger, irritability, and sometimes domestic violence. Parents sometimes take it out on children. Job loss is very difficult. Alam niyo, pagka nawalan tayo ng trabaho, hindi lang pera ang nawala, o hindi yung identity natin at yung parang confidence. Okay? So, we learned how times could be treacherous, how things could change permanently in a matter of days. So, fighting could be a big release of tension for the parents. But, it really terrifies the children. Okay. Number three, children can also not visit their relatives. Oftentimes, these relatives are the protective factor of children when parents fight, di ba? Pagka minsan nag-aaway si nanay tsaka si tatay, tatakbo tayo dun kay tita, tatakbo tayo dun kay lola, kay lolo, at sasabihin natin, nag-aaway po yung aking tatay at nanay. Okay? And then, they provide food and hugs in consultation children. However, hindi nga natin, kung kailan sila kailangan nag-aaway, ay hindi natin pwede silang makita. Okay? They are now forced to witness violence since only limited people can go outside. Another thing that they experience is if it is a student, no, and the mother is a frontliner. Some children of frontliners feel discriminated against, as what the news indicate. Okay, other parents do not want their children to play with them as they might be infected by the virus. This fosters among them a feeling of rejection and stigma. Education is a big issue. For some children, especially those who come from troubled homes, the school is the only safe place where they can be themselves. It is where a lot of affirmation comes from, especially if the child is doing well and have many friends. Now it was suddenly taken out without any warning or preparation for the child. The child now views the world as threatening since it fails to provide the routine and continuity which the child needs to survive. So ganyan kahirap ang pinagdadaanan ng mga estudyante natin ganon. Okay? So, next slide, please. So, fear of getting infected and guilt in passing the virus to vulnerable family members. Isa pa, they fear for an uncertain future. Makapag-aral pa ba ako? Paano kung hindi ako po pwedeng pumasok? Paano na ako? Anxiety in facing the new school year, especially for irregular students. Alam nyo, yung honor students, meron din yung fear. Kasi paano na yun? No? Yung how will they compete now? Especially if they don't have gadgets or kulang sa pera. Okay, loneliness for the company of familiar faces in school and of extended family members. Okay, so anything uncommon and strange breeds anxiety. New and irregular students in college are more susceptible to this since they usually have different sets of subjects. So, and they need to arrange this with the registrar and with their dean. So another population susceptible to anxiety are, as what I said before, students vying for honor. They might become worried over how they will perform during this time. So, okay, so next slide please. Sige nga, how do we enable students to succeed this pandemic season? What are your ideas? You may put it in the chat box. Okay? I'll give you 15 seconds. Paano sa tingin nyo? Of course, we will be taking it up. However, I would like to know first if you have any ideas. Okay? 15 seconds. Okay, wala na? O sige, parang nahiya yung iba. No, ayan. With the parents' support of the students. Okay, ano pa? Encourage them to go on. Yes, power of encouragement. Encourage them to continue studying and their parents. Yes, never give up. Okay, so now, next slide, please. Okay, so how do we enable students to succeed this pandemic season? Number one, ito napaka-importante, get involved in their academic life. No? So, meron yan acronym, PIT, PIT. Okay? So, parents to physically, mentally, and emotionally nourish students, especially during the quarantine. So ano to, may benefits din sa atin to, parents and teachers. This is now the time to take advantage of our physical closeness to our children. Parents really have to try their best to provide physical nourishment to their families, most especially to small children. So talagang napaka-importante, no? Because small children cannot wait. They are developing right now. Parents can do this. So this is, ito talagang I learned this, no? Dahil sa interview. You might have your own ways, but this one struck me. Parents can do this by apportioning scant resources such as food. Alam nyo, train children to surmount limited food resources by consuming what was edible without complaining. in order to tide them over their next meal. No? So walang reklamo. Okay, this is what we can afford. This was what the parents of the honor students did. Some of them had to adjust to a meal schedule of twice a day. Okay, rather than blaming the parents for the lack of food or the quality of food, the participants understood their situation. Isang participant din, ang sabi niya sa akin, Ma'am, light lang po ang kinakain namin sa gabi. Pero masarap po ang kinakain namin sa tanghali. Kasi po, sabi ng mama ko, bakit kayo masyadong magpapakabusog sa gabi o mabigat, matutulog na kayo. So, kumain tayo ng marami pagka lunch. Tapos sa gabi, kahit na tomatoes, tsaka itlog, kung ano man dyan, kanin, okay na yon. Okay? So, the participants, pati the participants too, the participants did not focus on the lack of food, but instead saw their families' practice of eating 2 meals a day as a way of outwitting poverty. So, hindi sila nainggit, hindi sila nagreklamo, pero parang sabi nila, ay, nakaraos na kami. Okay? So it gave way to mental determination. Ano ba yung mental determination? It refers to a set way of thinking which endures poverty conditions, fatigue, illness, and other challenges in pursuit of more important goals. Kasi hindi naman ang goal mo ay kumain ng masarap, di ba? Araw-araw. Ang goal mo is to survive. Okay? At may matira pa. Okay? Emotional control. So, is a way of positively responding to emotionally laden events, like being bullied or being ignored socially. It is training children to effectively control their emotions and instead direct them towards the achievement of academic success. Alam nyo, meron akong isang participant. Sabi niya, alam mo ma'am, isang challenge na na-encounter ko, binubuli ako eh. Kasi binabato pa nga nila ako. Sabi nila, salot daw ako, ganyan. So, yun na, in-endure niya yon. Now, he went to college. At tapos nalaman nung mga nambubuli sa kanya. When he excelled in college, his neighbors were now silent whenever they saw him pass wearing his school uniform. Sabi ko, anong nangyari dun sa mga nambubuli sa'yo? Sabi niya, ma'am, sa kasamaang palad, tambay na po sila ngayon. Okay? So he was vindicated. And another thing is, meron pang nagsabi sa akin, alam mo ma'am, dati ini-ignore kami sa family because meron pong pera yung iba naming family, yung iba naming kapamilya. Ngayon, gusto ko po na maka-rise, na makatapos para po may pride naman yung family. Okay? So, emotional control is very, very important. Okay? So, monitor them. So, monitor them until they reach internalization or the process by which students incorporate training given by parents and teachers. So, it is not enough that parents show or lecture them about the values which they wanted their children to adopt. Parents should also monitor and assess the child's progress by watching them closely and providing whatever help they can give at their level. For example, especially during the pandemic, children have home-based studies. So, maganda yan kasi masusubaybayan natin sila ngayon. Parents who work can check when they arrive the homework or the assignments given. So, wag tayong magsasawa o masyadong mapagod. Usually ako rin because I've worked almost my entire career life. Minsan pagod na ako talaga pagdating. But we owe it to our children to really monitor them. Okay? So next, teachers to be active in helping them during academic, personal, and financial struggles. Mentoring by teachers is important, especially during the pandemic period. So how do you create rapport, no? Teachers can first establish, ito yung mga sinabi ng mga estudyante sa akin, you can establish a relationship by sharing yourself in classes. Teachers can also be mother, father figures, generous in affection towards the class. So research has shown that mentoring was responsible for reduced unexcused absences from school, improvement in classroom work, and better relationship with parents. Mentoring is also about caring for the students. During this pandemic season, teachers could also form chat groups with parents and students so she is informed of what is going on. So alam mo naman tayo, marami tayong chat groups, no? So most probably, pwede rin tayong ganun. Okay, next slide please. Next, and this is very, very, very important. Ito ang number one actually, no, na sinabi sa akin nung mga honor students. Connect finishing education to a better life. Basta magtapos. Okay? Hindi kailangang honor. Basta magtapos. Kung pwedeng maging honor, why not? Okay? This was, the level of education is usually tied up with income. Okay? And our career. This was intermittently mentioned in a lot of researches. Encourage children to discover the value of education. Cite positive examples of regular hardworking persons. These examples need not be rich. Hindi kailangan na very rich, no? But everyday people who are able to have a better life due to their educational attainment. This pandemic season is an ideal time to promote the value of education. No, CEP yan SEP. Encourage them to dream of a much better life after the pandemic and after they finish their studies. Give them the courage to dream of better food, better house, and a better way of providing for the family. And this is very important. If they can conceptualize, they can actualize. And with us also, once you conceptualize, you can actualize. Also, number 3, teach them how to surmount material and physical problems brought about by poverty. Some tutorial houses and private homes may be willing to accept legal age tutors. So ayan, we even our students at PNU, meron silang tutorial. Okay? Meron silang tutors face-to-face. However, now, it's risky, however, nakita ko rin, for the safety of the tutor and the students, wearing face mask and face shield, changing into a scrub suit once the tutor reaches the home of the student are also possible. But of course, it's up to you kung talagang kaya mo yon. Okay? Kasi alam ko, marami ngayong kailangan ng tutor. There is now also online tutoring. Okay? Students can also handle that. Okay? Next slide, please. Number 3 is develop mental and emotional toughness. Ito ay napaka-importante. Once they fail, make them practice. Make it a habit of trying again after failing. The participants in the study mentioned that they were usually sent as representatives of their schools to compete with other schools. Well, they did not win in all competitions. Sino ba naman ang pwedeng ganon, One participant learned that she can still fail after exerting a lot of efforts and having a lot of support from her teachers. Ang sabi niya sa akin, alam mo ma'am, hiyang-hiya ako. Kasi si ma'am talagang sinuportahan ako, tapos ako'y talagang nag-aral. However, hindi po ako nanalo dun sa competition. However, what did she do? So instead of losing her self-confidence and self-esteem in not winning at a major contest, she studied very well in her teacher-trainer class to prove to her mentor that she did right in choosing her as the representative for the contest. And you know what? She later graduated as valedictorian of their class. Okay. Another student was so embarrassed after failing in a major competition, but her father encouraged her to try again. She tried again and she won this time. Okay. Number two, create positive beliefs from weaknesses, deprivation, and failure. Try to see the opportunities which this pandemic brings. This may be opportunity for knowing the child better, in learning something, in giving the child life skills such as household duties and others. And this one is very important. I wish to stress this also kasi alam nyo, minsan sinishield natin ang mga bata. Make them develop a built-in mechanism on dealing with failure. Alam nyo, maraming nadidepress because of failure. However, if they have that mechanism in dealing with failure, madaling makarecover. Okay? So this involves maintaining significant attention to goals. No goals. Ang ating pinapansin dito like academics and family closeness, family togetherness. It removes their minds to non-goals like retreating in a corner and being miserable. Hindi naman yun ang goal mo di ba? Especially during this pandemic season. As challenges are conquered and skills are learned, success creates a more confident and hopeful attitude. Okay. So next slide, please. Okay, number 4, encourage students to formulate clear goals for academic success. Ano ibig sabihin yan? GAF, no? Set academic goals and think positively when they are not immediately met. Okay? Set clear academic goals like what are the child's learning targets for the day? What time does the child start studying? What time shall the child finish the task? In what quadrant does the child or the student want to be in class standing? So may goals na. Okay? Kasi doon siya magfo-focus. Next, develop appreciation to the career which they wish to pursue. Start during the pandemic period the orientation to the career in which the child is interested in. Sabi ko nga, ito ay pagkakataon. Seize the opportunity. No? Hindi na to mangyayari uli. Okay? So, ngayong kasama natin, yung mga bata, yung mga anak natin, samantalahin na natin. This will make the child choose and settle earlier in the direction of his or her interests. Okay. Another is make friends with those who support their academic and personal struggles. Encourage students to befriend those who have the same interests as them. This will facilitate them reaching their academic goals. Maganda nga yung may mga clubs no? So, yung may mga common clubs, ganyan, para mas madali rin. Okay? So, next slide, please. Okay, ito naman, para sa atin, mentor, share. Okay, LET. Share experiences of how parents or teachers surpass crisis. Sometimes, these are what inspires the students. They are actual experiences which are doable by the students. Okay? Now, next, share experiences of how parents and children surpass crisis. Also, share transformative views, especially giving back. Include improving the environment and helping other people and making this world a better place to live in. These are the values of the top students who participated in the research. This is also very important in this crisis. We must give back no matter how small our means are. No person is too poor to be able to share talent, material things, and even a listening ear. Okay? So, next slide, please. Okay? Next, yan. Okay. You know, we have come to the end of our session. And I want to leave you with this quote. Obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it. Go through it or work around it. Yan ay quotation from Michael Jordan. No? So, with this, it is our most fervent wish that we came out of this pandemic as better and more generous persons. So, next slide, please. Thank you for all the participants, and let's all stay safe. Okay? Okay, these are the references. Do you have questions?
Okay, so we will now open the floor po. Bubuksan na po namin ang open forum para po sa mga nais po na magtanong. Sa mga kasama po natin ngayon sa Zoom group, sa Zoom meetings, maaari niyo pong i-post ang inyo pong mga tanong sa ating pong group chat. At para naman po sa mga kasama po natin ngayon sa Facebook Live, maaari niyo naman din pong itanong ang inyo pong mga katanungan sa pamamagitan po ng pag-post po nito sa ating comment section. Ayan. So, Ma'am Bagaporo, karamihan po is panay reflections ang ating nakita.
Panay reflections. Okay.
Yes.
Kasi ano yan it's very inspiring to see how others hurdle their challenges. Kasi challenges are there to be hurdled, di ba?
Yes.
Okay. So,
are there any questions kaya po? Siguro po pwede po tayong magbasa po siguro ng ating reflections po ng ating pong mga participants.
Okay, meron ba? Okay, so
sino po yung gustong mag-share?
Sige nga, reflection. Kung sino gustong mag-share.
Pwede niyo pong buksan po yung inyo pong microphone. Yung nauna po, maganda po yung reflection niya eh. Teka lang.
O sige, share tayo. Oo, share tayo. Reflection.
Si Michelle Goliano, kung nandito pa po kayo.
Andito po, nasabi ko na po sa chat.
Ayan po, maaari niyo po bang i-share po sa ating pong mga tagapagpakinig din, sa ating din pong FB Live, kung ano po yung naging reflection po ninyo? Maaari niyo din po basahin yung nasa group chat po.
Yung reflection ko po regarding during my college days po kasi, so di ba isa sa struggle ng students yung poverty. So isa po ako doon sa naka-experience ko ng poverty, pero tinaguyod pa rin ako ng mama ko. Naiyak ako, wala na kasi yung mama ko. Kaya sa tulong niya, nakapagtapos po ako. Dahil nakatapos ako, natulungan ko po yung dalawa kong kapatid na makatapos din ng pag-aaral nila. So yun, may trabaho na po kami magkakapatid, medyo okay na rin po yung buhay namin kahit paano po ngayon.
Wow, congrats. Alam mo ba, yung mga participants natin, yung iba niyan talaga may scholarship na rin eh. They have iba outstanding teachers. Kasi medyo na to. This was siguro mga 6 or 2014 na to nangyari. So, mga 6 years ago. And as I can see them, pagka nakikita ko, I'm really very happy. And I'm also very happy for you, Michelle. So, congrats. Okay. May nakita ako dun sa chat box natin. Paano kapag may trauma? Yes. So, yung yung trauma, i-resolve muna yon. Okay? I-resolve muna yon. Kasi, like for example, meron siyang mental health issues, i-resolve muna yon. And then afterwards, she can join the group again. Kasi mahirap, yung may mental health issues ay papasok. Baka masyado siyang ma-pressure. However, yung iba naman, may under medication. So it depends on the mental health doctor, no? Yung mga psychiatrist. Kasi pagka ganon, we refer to a psychiatrist kung kailangan. Ngayon, kung kailangan ay guidance counselor, pwede siyang matulungan. Kaya sometimes, trauma, matagal na gamutan yan, matagal na therapy. So, pagka ganon, sabi nga natin, pwede naman din siyang matapos. Pero, if she will post, okay lang. But, she should, mas maganda, hindi niya makalimutan yon. Meron siyang goal. Parang mag-focus din siya sa goal na yun. Because I have also students no na merong ganyan. Okay? So magre-rest sila for a while and then afterwards enroll na naman. Ganon. Okay? Anybody wish to share?
Ayan po, marami pong salamat muna kay Ma'am Michelle. Ayan, ano naman po kaya, si Ma'am Isabel Bagay, kung maaari niyo pong buksan po ang inyo pong microphone. Ma'am Isabel? Gusto niya po sana yata mag-share, kaso, ayan. Ma'am? I think nawala po si Ma'am Isabel.
Nawala, baka
yes po, may tanong po
connection.
tayo mula sa ating Facebook. I-encourage ang magulang na nawalan pareho ng trabaho.
Okay. Paano i-encourage ang magulang na nawala ng trabaho? You see, it's really difficult. Okay? Siguro mag-umpisa na hindi naman kailangang agad-agad. Pero there are some opportunities in the pandemic season. Tingnan yung talent. Ano ba ang talento nung magulang? Baka marunong siyang magluto. Okay? Baka meron siyang pwedeng gawin kahit na in terms of service. Yun ang tingnan muna. No, hindi naman 'yan kaagad-agad. Okay? But yun nga, tulungan 'yan. Minsan sabi ng parents, hindi na ipapag-anuhin ko na lang 'yan. Hindi ko na pag-aaralin, no? Kasi pareho kaming walang trabaho. Pero try to find ways. Ano ba ang pupwede? Kasi may nakikita ako ngayon, ang dami online sellers, no? Ay ako nga bumibili rin dun eh. So hindi naman I think it will also sometimes it also affects. Kaya lang sabi nga natin, we have to be tough, 'di ba? Kung ano yung pupwede, halimbawa, o pwede ka maglaba. Ano pa? Kung kailangan ka lumabas sa sitio mo, sige, mag-offer ka. Okay? Ano pa? Kailan pwede ka magluto ng champurado? Lahat yung sa agahan. Okay, champurado, tsaka tuyo, o digiling na yon. Malay mo, makapag-ano ka. Kasi, we Filipinos are very, very fond of eating. Okay? And a lot of people, that's the reason why a lot of people are now doing online selling. O baka merong gusto ka, barter or what, yun ang maisa-suggest ko. And never ever lose confidence. Never ever lose confidence na this is just a season. Kasi may trabaho ka naman dati di ba? May trabaho ka dati. So, if you had one before, most probably, magkakaroon ka rin. Okay?
Ayan po, meron pong gustong mag-share mula po sa ating kasama po sa Zoom meeting, si Ma'am or Sir E.C. Salonga. Pwede niyo po bang buksan po ang inyo pong microphone at video?
Hello po.
Hi sir, sorry po. Sir E.C.
From Villamor High School. Gusto ko lang po share. Pasensya niya sa kalsada po. Papapunit sana. Na-inspire po ako dun sa topic which is relevant sa atin ngayon sa may pandemic. Ako po nung nag-aaral ako. Wala po sa akong parent. Tapos 8 kami magkakapatid. Then I am the youngest. Tapos wala po sa amin nakapag-graduate ng college. High school po talaga lang. Parang sobrang nakita ko pong motivation. Tinignan ko yung mga napuntahan o nangyari sa mga kapatid. Kaya pinagbutihan ko yung sa pag-aaral. Kahit wala po kasi yung magulang, tinignan ko na yung paghihirap ng lola ko na nagkaruga sa akin. That's why yun po yung isang naging paraan para matapos po yung pag-aaral. And ito rin po yung ginagawa ko sa mga estudyante ko pag napanghihinaan ko sila ng loko.
Yes.
Lalo na po ngayon mahirap, di ba, walang mga gadgets, walang internet. By means of encouraging them, yun na lang po yung way ko para matulungan din sila. Kaya din po ako nag-teach. Salamat po.
Yes, very good, Mr. Salonga. Ano talaga yon? Talagang nilagay ka dyan. Kasi para ma-inspire nila, di ba? Who knows, it might be one of your missions in life. Hindi mo lang alam. Okay, and if anybody else want to share?
Si Ma'am Adelaida Limbo po, maaari niyo pong buksan ang inyo pong audio and video.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon.
Ignacio Villamor High School. I'm also a teacher handling junior high school. I'd like to share, first of all, everyone, all of us, teachers, students, and others are new in this kind of situation. This pandemic struck us, really. So, we are in a dilemma right now, whether it is fear, whether it is excitement, whether it is looking forward to what's going to come this new school year. But the real concern of educators now is really how to be able to cope as an individual, as a personal individual also, teaching students who are in some situations that we really do not see. So I think that it's really important first to handle our own personal mental health, being teachers also. Because we really cannot determine if students are experiencing, of course, even teachers also experience problems, but because the mode of delivery of learning is extremely different from what we were used to before, we will never be able to determine or identify students who we are handling whether they are having problems. Although we can determine from their outputs probably, or like for example, written output, if they are disturbed or they have complicated situations, because that will reflect it. But I think that for all of us, this is going to be really a tough situation. No matter how many webinars we attend, because we know that one seminar says that there are students or children nowadays, teenagers nowadays, just like I heard yesterday, that there is an increased abuse among young women in the Philippines. There was an increased rate of abuse. So we will not see that. However, what I can suggest is that we first, as educators, as those who will transfer learning, be mentally fit as well. Siguro yun ba, yung ganun lang. Kasi nobody knows what's going to happen during this time of pandemic while we are teaching. We can only guarantee that we can only guarantee our commitment, but we cannot really determine whether the students are really having problems or in a very tight situation. But probably it depends on our creativity how we are going to determine that. Okay, yun lang po. What I want to emphasize is that we are looking forward to be sharing our contribution to the country in this pandemic, in this situation. But we are also individuals. We are parents, and we are teaching. We are also children of our senior citizen parents, no? And we also have our students whom we need to handle carefully. So we have to maintain our own personal well-being while we are trying to share to others and make them progress as well in this pandemic. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, very good reflections, Adeline. No, very, very good reflection. What we can do is, well, let's try our best. And then after that, just have the confidence that as long as we have tried our best, then that's it. No, because we cannot already give. Sometimes the brain, no, tells us you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to come here, you have to go there. But is it doable? No, kasi we are now interacting with machines. Iba to. This is largely uncharted course, no? Miss Adelaida, no? Miss Adelaida Limbo. This is very, very uncharted course. Wala sa atin kahit na sa iba, kahit na nasa yung ibang masusing pinag-aralan yan. Wala ngang researches. Wala pang researches na masyado na kung ano ba ang dapat gawin, ganon. So, it is up to us, no? Up to our own means. And later on, let's develop our own means. And then afterwards, share lang natin. If we have been very good teachers, sa tingin natin, yun ang kaya natin, we did not hold back, then I think that is very good. That is already excellent. Kasi, ang pinagbabatayan natin, sarili natin. If we did, we went out of our comfort zone to do something, then it's the best that we can do. And that is a very good performance. Diba?
Yes. Yes, Ma'am Bagaporo. Thank you po kay Ma'am Adelaida for sharing. Meron pa pong isa na siguro nais po na mag-share din.
Yes.
Mahaba din po yung reflection niya.
Oo, sige.
Sir Jose Malate, maaari niyo po bang buksan ang inyo pong microphone and video po?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon po sa lahat.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon po.
Rinig po ako.
Yes po.
Yes, sir. Rinig po.
Okay. So, kanina kasi na-inspire lang ako sa kwento ng Joey. Kasi gusto ko lang naman i-share yung mga during my college life sa PNU.
PNU ka rin.
Yes po. I'm
PNU
proud PNU once po ako. So, during my time sa PNU po, talaga kung masabi kong mahirap talaga kami sa, as in walang trabaho mga parents ko at that time. So, very siguro grateful ako kasi during that time on my PNU college life. Isa po ang SM Scholar and then varsity ng PNU. So lahat ng mga stipend na nabuha ko, nakakatulong sa family ko. So yun. So nagkaroon ng self-motivation na yung mga resources na nakukuha ko dun sa loob ng PNU, gagamitin ko para lang makapagtapos ng pag-aaral. So lahat ng mga experience na pinagdaan ko sa PNU, ito pa yung mga sinishare ko sa mga student ko ngayon na nag-i-struggle sa kanilang pag-aaral. Sabi ko, huwag kayong mawalan ng pag-asa. Kasi huwag lang silang matakot na sumuko. Yun lang po.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Jose Malate. That's a very nice sharing, no? Kasi nga, first-hand experience natin noon. Tayo ang authority noon. So, ang mangyayari, they will believe and they will get inspired. Okay? So, meron pang gustong mag-share?
Ayan, marami pong salamat, Sir Jose. Si Ma'am Julieta Di Mailig, nais niyo po bang mag-share din ng inyong pong mga karanasan po niyo noon? Ma'am? Ma'am Julieta? Mukha pong nawala po siya, pero napakarami po ng reflections po natin ngayon. Hindi lamang po dito sa Zoom meeting, ma'am, pati rin po sa FB Live po natin, marami din po. Yes, marami din po mga nag-aano. Siguro yes, siguro pwede pa tayong mag-entertain ng isa pang magre-reflect bago po natin tapusin ang ang session po na ito. Wait lang po. Ayan, so maraming mga na-inspire. Ayan, si Ma'am Argeline. Nandito pa po ba si Ma'am Argeline? Mukhang nawala na din po siya, ma'am.
Umuulan eh.
Umuulan po.
Umuulan, ganyan talaga.
Yes.
Internet, buti na lang sa amin, no? Nagtuloy-tuloy.
Ayun po. So, marami talaga pong nag-share at talaga naman po na nakatulong po ito para po sa ating mga audience po natin ngayon at karamihan po ay mga kaguruan, miyembro ng mga kaguruan na makapag-reflect po sa kung ano yung pwede nilang gawin habang sila po ay nagtuturo sa ating po mga estudyante. So muli, marami pong salamat, Dr. Evelyn Bagaporo.
Yes, thank you also. Anytime.
Ayan,
thank you very much.
Thank you po sa isang makabuluhang talakayan at talagang napareflect nyo po kami sa kung ano po yung pwede pa namin po matutunan. Hindi lamang ang pagkatuto po kasi, hindi lamang po academically at hindi lamang po natatapos sa loob po ng classroom, kundi nagpapatuloy po ito panghabang buhay. Kaya nga, di ba, tayo po ay tinaguri ang students of life. Muli, marami pong salamat sa pagtutok po sa isa na naman pong episode ng CPEO S.E.R.V.E. Sharing expertise towards resiliency through viable extension. Muli, pinapaalalahanan po namin ang mga nakasama po natin ngayon sa Zoom meeting at mga nakapagparehisto po para po sa webinar po na ito na antayin niyo lamang po ang evaluation form na ipapadala po ng Community Partnership and Extension Office. Gayon din po para po sa mga may katanungan, maaari niyo po kaming i-email sa cpeo.serve@pnu.edu.ph. Para naman po sa webinar po natin bukas, makakasama po natin ang Associate Dean ng Faculty ng Agham Pangkaasalan at Panlipunan ng Pamantasang Normal ng Pilipinas, si Dr. Zaira Lee Lotivio Beducal sa kanya pong talk na Overcoming Unemployment Challenges. Ang pagpaparehistro po ay ipopost din po namin sa Facebook page ng PNU Extension Partners 2020 at sa Facebook account po ng CPEO PNU. Muli, marami pong salamat sa pagsama niyo po sa amin sa CPEO S.E.R.V.E. At para naman po sa mga kasama po natin ngayon dito po sa Zoom meetings, maaari niyo na pong buksan ang inyo pong mga camera para po sa isang photo opportunity.